Is this thing on? Talk about a guilt trip. Hi, welcome back to my channel. It feels so weird saying that. I don't know why. I have 6 videos. This is now my 7th video on my channel. Goodness gracious. I'm Tiana, and today we're going to be discussing Keeper of the Lost Cities Book 2, Exile. Talk about a guilt trip. Oh my goodness. Where do we begin? Imagine the biggest guilt trip. That's what this book is. Let's discuss. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The first one I gave a 3 because you're still working on the world building and we're still doing that in the second book, and I'm just like, I just need answers. That's all I need. The pacing of this book was just easy. Like, you were swept in with the first 100 pages, which is about the first 5 chapters. I think I could be mistaken, but honestly, with fantasy, I'm just here for the long haul. I want a good 8-book series that I am just diving into, asking question after question. There were so many heartfelt moments, like yes, 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 yes. Chef's kisses. Just Alden and Sophie and Dex and Keefe. We get to see more Keefe in this book, which we could all use little bad boys in our lives. Wouldn't you agree?
12-year-old me is quick.
Did I chuckle? Is Dex a strawberry blonde? Then yes, I did chuckle. Keefe gave me the comic relief that I needed. We start off with Dex, Grady, Sophie, and Sander looking for a missing Sasquatch. Because yes, Sasquatches are real in this book, and they do not look like what we think they look like. Instead of finding a Sasquatch, Sophie finds an alicorn. Yes, an alicorn. An alicorn is a horse and a Pegasus and a unicorn roll into one. I had to Google it. Insert Google image right here. You see that? I'm glad you and I are on the same page because I was so confused. And apparently it's this glittering horse that poops glittery poop, which, okay. Throughout the book, the alicorn, named Silveny, is a constant reminder to the council for a beacon of hope, because right now it ain't looking too hopeful right now. Or at least in the Elven world. Even in this world too, because global pandemic. But I digress. And then also, ever since Dex and Sophie's kidnapping, it's just been one shit show, essentially. Because the elves, they live in a world where kidnapping, murder, that doesn't happen. So all of a sudden these 2 children are kidnapped. Yeah, I would feel shady shapes too. In a world where no one dies, no one really gets sick. Yes, I could see why the hope is dwindling and dwindling fast. We get to explore more of Dex's and Sophie's friendship, which we get glimpses of because Dex is going through his teenage angst phase, and Sophie is just here to quit her bitching and get done. But of course, Dex is like, look, can we be friends? We're best friends. And I'm like, Dex, honey, you've been friend-zoned to the fullest extent of the friend zone laws of physics. I'm so sorry, honey, but good luck. I wish you all the best. I see book 3 right there. I wish you all the best. But we have this love square still going on right now, and I'm just, no thoughts, head empty. That's essentially where I'm at right now. I don't know. Sophie and Dex do have a rocky relationship throughout the book because Sophie's going through it all. And Dex is just like, be my friend. But Sophie needs to and Dex is feeling left out. And Sophie does realize this, but she only can tell him so much. And he does confront her. He's like, Sophie, we had a near-death experience. This should at least count me in on something to know a glimpse of what the heck is going on. And she's just like, I really can't tell you, Dex. I'm sorry. Until they need him for his power, that he still refuses to acknowledge because he's a technopath. And he's just like, technopath isn't cool. I'm just glad we get to see some of the teen angst that's now approaching as they turn 13 years old. And this book was only a 2-week time span. This was only 2 weeks. That's a lot to go through in 2 weeks. Oh my goodness. I'm starting to understand how Shannon Messenger is developing her plot and writing style as we have the scene with Sophie as we approach the anniversary of Jolie's death. Jolie is Grady and Adeline's daughter. And again, mind you, this world, this society, they don't deal with death often. These elves, live for millennia. So having one die at 20 years old is unheard of. Elves do not know what Grady and Adeline have gone through, but Sophie, living in the human world, gets to know what grieving and losing someone feels like and how to grieve. Sophie wanders into the forest and she finds her sapling trees, and on her tree is a clue from the Black Swan. And the clue says, "Let the past be your guide." Sophie tells Alden the message, and we finally get this plot rolling, which... The council orders a mind break on Fenton. The council believes Fenton has this secret that no one can really pull from him with trust, so they try to forcibly take it from his mind. If you really think about it, I see what you did there, Shannon. We had to have the mind break on Fenton so Sophie could get to Prentice, because Prentice is the real, like, page turner of this book, because he is part of the Black Swan, and he is how the council is able to find Sophie. And Sophie's purpose, we learn later on that Sophie's only purpose, her creation, was to fix broken minds. Did not see that coming. And then Sophie gets asked by Alden to help break Fenton's mind because she's the only one. When Alden asks Sophie to be her guide while he performs the mind break, that scene just gave me chills. Oh my goodness. I was like, I cannot lose Alden. Forget about Sophie, forget about Fitz, forget about Keefe. I need him more than you do, okay?
No one harms my own. I protect my own.
And I was like, hold up. We're only on book 2. You can kill off in book 3. Book 2, I need you to establish my characters before we just go willy-nilly. Sophie is able to help Alden and pull him out of the mind break because he was getting lost into Fenton's mind. I'm just going to assume that Dex accidentally slipped her some dumb bitch juice because Sophie passes Prentice's cell in Exile, and she's like, hey, why don't I probe into Prentice's mind and see what I can find out? As in, if we haven't established his mind has been broken for 12 years. Maybe you shouldn't go digging around in someone's mind that's been broken for that long, especially when you're not feeling well. And then Alden has another mind break. Just a small one, a smidge, no big deal. Sophie pulls him out, but he's not well enough to light leap them back to Havenfield. So Sophie has to do it herself, and she fades again, which is bad. Fading is bad. Don't fade. What type of school has the resources, money, and willpower to force students to wear their grade level mascot and do a choreographed dance for their opening ceremony? Not public schools in America, that's for sure. As we're at the opening ceremony, Sophie and Alden see Willie, I think that's his name, which is Prentice's son. When you're a parent, I would assume, when you see other kids who don't have parents, that is sad. But when you see kids who don't have parents and you're the cause of that, heartbreaking. And Alden has this heartbreaking, guilt-tripped, triggered psychotic break, which is lethal for the elves. Elves and guilt, it's like Kryptonite and Superman. They don't mix. We're also emphasizing this point that just because you are physically fine, you may be fine down to your smallest atomic cell, but just because you're physically fine does not mean that you're mentally fine. And Alden is always keeping the peace within the lands, but who is keeping peace within himself? Because it obviously wasn't him, as he has his own demons in his closet as he's battling to keep his own peace. So we have Alden, who's having his own psychotic break because of his guilt trip, but we do see someone who is mourning a loss, which is Grady. Grady and Adeline have been going through it all for the past 16 years.
I've been going through it all, yeah.
Since their daughter's death, which I think Jolie has something to do with the Black Swan. It could just be me, but I'm noticing with Shannon's writing, we don't just put in things for coincidence. Like, when something is placed there seamlessly, it has to do with something within the seams. Grady is holding on to anger to keep himself from falling into guilt. And the only thing that's keeping him alive is anger towards the Black Swan, because he thinks the Black Swan killed Jolie. Fitz, honey, I'm a big believer in you're allowed to feel what you're feeling. However, do not take it out on my good sis Sophie. She did not deserve the disrespect you gave her, and I protect my own. So if you get hurt in the next book, it wasn't my fault. It was Shannon's fault. Don't look at me. I said what I said. But I guess Sophie just loves an angsty teenage boy. Oh, yeah, and Fitz can transmit into Sophie's mind now after Sophie nearly died in the first book. And also, remember that alicorn, Silveny? Yeah, she can also transmit into Sophie's mind too. Because guess what? Sophie's DNA is modeled after the alicorn. Meaning, the Black Swan had the alicorn for however long, and he modeled it after them. So many clues, so little answers. She's not gonna wait for it, okay? She is not Aaron Burr. She is an Alexander Hamilton. She is gonna go get what she wants. So she sets out on this solo adventure. Of course, Sandra has to accompany her too, and she needs to find out A, who killed Jolie, and B, how can I save Alden? It's just a whirlwind from there because we're given so many clues. We're finally asking the right questions, which I am so grateful for because I have questions and she's asking the same questions. So hopefully we're going on the same path, which we are. We just still need more answers from this book, and I still have lots of books on this shelf. Keefe is my new baby, okay? No one touch him, no one bother him. He's had a crappy upbringing, and I just wanna, your dad treats you like poop, okay? I'm sorry. I just want to give him a big hug. And then when Alden was, dying and withering away, Keefe was like, we need to save him. He's my only thing keeping me going right now because his family says you need to earn your spot in this house. Keefe is an empath, so Keefe knows when Sophie is lying. He's like, I know you're being shades. What's good, what's poppin'? So Sophie's like, well, we're doing this, that, and the third. You can come join us, but I makes the rules. I love female empowerment. While Sophie and Keefe are doing their own thing, a council member is interested in Sophie in the sense that he wants to build a relationship with her that I am suspicious of, because right after they go to that house to get her journal, she gets a letter from the Black Swan, and that's too much of a coincidence for me. I think Council Tarek is involved with the Black Swan. He has to be. How would they know what's going on in the council? You have to have a mole inside so the Black Swan knows how you're operating. It just has to be. If they couldn't get Grady, they had to get someone else. You don't just not have someone on the inside. Come, know thy enemy. Again, we're bringing it back to the alicorn. Sophie finally gets a message saying, we can fix you. You need to trust us. So she goes to this cave on the alicorn with Keefe and the dwarves. We figure out the dwarves are just part of the Black Swan because the elves and the dwarves really don't get along that well. Or at least they're on rocky ground. That was my attempt at a joke. Hope you enjoyed. We get to this cave with the alicorn, and the dwarves are helping Sophie, and they drug her. And this entire book, Sophie's like, no sedatives, I hate my nightmares, but I'm still not doing drugs. She meets Mr. Forkle. Mr. Forkle says, I can fix you. I know your powers have been waning. I know your nightmares are bad, and you can talk to Fitz, which is bad as well. But they thought that, oh, he's just Wonder Boy. He's strong. He figured it out. But no, none of this should be happening. The light should not be affecting her as much as it should be. She should be in an impenetrable wall. Because we are led to believe that Mr. Forkle might be her dad. But we know he's at least her creator. He generated her genes and DNA to modify those of an alicorn, which, that poor baby, she really thought she was a horse because of her brown eyes, because the alicorn has brown eyes too. Oh, if you look at the book, they look the same. Oh my god, no, they did my bits dirty. And she almost died. All of this for Alden. She just wants to fix herself so she can save Alden, because Alden is literally the only thing keeping this entire thing going. He's keeping his family going, he's keeping Keefe going, he's keeping Sophie going. Mind you, Sophie hates the doctor. So the fact that she took a needle like a champ, and the countess is like, you committed treason, but also go heal Alden real quick, and we probably won't send you to exile. Like, no. You want me to heal your own so I can go to exile? That's not how this works. You're gonna listen to my rules and what I want, and then we'll consider listening to you for a tiny second. This book right here it gets better and better as we go along with this series. I started at book 3. I'm on like page 20 right now out of 608 pages. They keep getting longer too. But yes, this book, oh my goodness, just the moving moments of just Sophie like wanting to do everything in her power possible for Alden, and also like her bonding moments with Adeline. Adeline gets stronger in this book. In the beginning of the series, we're just like, Adeline is fragile, but no, she is the one that lets Sophie go off to the cave and go off to the Black Swan so she can get fixed, because Adeline is her mother. And Sophie wanted to call Grady her dad and Adeline her mom, but she was like, maybe in time I can. I'm like, yes you can, baby, yes you can do it, si se puede, si se puede. But yes, oh my goodness, I can't talk about everything in this book because just so much happened. But if you want to discuss more about this book, please leave a comment below in the comments. Please like this video and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. I talk about books, I talk about movies, I talk about TV shows, and anything in between. What do you guys want to see from me? Just let your girlie know, you know? Now I have to go edit this video. And I don't know how I feel about it. Bye!